along to Formula One and welcome along to Montreal for the free practice 3 session here in Montreal, named after the Mount Royal, the hill in the heart of the city. No building can be taller than the cross of Mount Royal. It's the film capital of Canada, and there should be some legendary shots today. This circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, is named after Gilles Villeneuve himself, that won here 44 years ago. In the city where buildings are connected by over 32 kilometers of underground tunnels, but today we'll be focused on 2.7 miles of overground tunnel this evening. 14 corners, 16 to the left and 8 to the right, and there's only a 362-meter run from pole down to turn 1. Presenting you the action today and tonight, live and direct in the best watch-along channel on the planet by Racing Statistics. I'll be your host, Biggles, and alongside me will be the walking Wikipedia of knowledge, Mr. Grash. Welcome, everybody, to the chat. Glad you've been tuning in for the first or maybe returning. If you do love the information we do bring here, please return the love by hitting that like and even subscribe. Now it's time to bring in the F1 mastermind himself, Grash. Welcome. An interesting session yesterday.
Oh my God. Free practice, both practice 1 and practice 2 were crazy yesterday. For those who don't know, we had 3 different red flag scenarios. The first one is the more interesting one, is that it started at the 5-minute mark in the session, and basically the session did not resume because of a failure of the closed caption TV cameras on the track. The issue, basically, there was a timing issue, a sync issue, and so cars were basically disappearing from the cameras for about 15 seconds, and they found that out because that's what happened with Gasly when he basically had his scenario. We then had two red flags. We had Hulkenberg's engine going, and then we had another, I'm blanking on the other one at the moment, top of my head, but we had two in that. Because we had no time whatsoever from free practice 1, they managed to extend free practice 2. What they basically did is there's a requirement of that sessions have to be 2 hours apart. It was originally scheduled 2.5 hours apart, so they basically moved up the start time to get another 30 minutes. With us right now, we have our third commentary. We'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Screwed? Are you down there in pit road?
Hello? He's joined us, but I guess his mic is not working yet.
Maybe he's drowned out. Good questions out there in chat. Welcome, everybody. We do really, really appreciate your support, of course, because you here at Racing Statistics, you love the information. You love Formula One, everything. And we also rely on your feedback and your information. Somebody was asking before about things in Canada, of course, cheese in Canada. Usually it's maple syrup. But anyway, weather conditions as well. Screwed, are you here?
I'm here. I hit the wrong button. I forgot it was push to talk. I'm Screwed. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for letting me join you. Beautiful day here in Canada.
How's that weather down there in pit road, mate? It's looking a bit...
it's better than it was. But it's a little rough around the edges. I don't know if it's going to work out this week.
Well, that's the man we need to talk to, Grash, my friend. You've been with us for a while. You've been studying everything that's been going on this weekend. What's happening right now down trackside here in Canada?
Right now, I'm looking at the weather report. We're going to get rain in about 5 minutes as FP3 is going to start. That is the prediction I'm moving at AccuWeather. They've got a minute-to-minute forecast going on, and it will last almost through the entire session.
Really unfortunate. So here's the question, is how do you guys feel when it comes to weather during practice and qualies, and then all of a sudden it's a dry race? How do you think that'll impact the race itself if it ends up being that way?
It ends up giving us a weird starting grid for the race. Given that I'm doing practices and I'm doing maybe the sprint qualies, when weather happens during them, it's yes, bring on the chaos, because it makes it more fun for me. So for a very biased and selfish reason, I love the rain.
Yeah, and it does mix things up a little bit. I feel like Verstappen and Red Bull are just such a dominant feature last season and this season that I think throwing in a wrench would be I mean, I feel like it'd be nice for F1 just because I love Verstappen. I love Red Bull. I think they have such a great, they're doing so well, but I'd love somebody else. And I love seeing Lewis Hamilton doing well again. I think Mercedes has been looking great. I think they're going to have a great second half of the season too.
Well, once again, so it's the film capital of Canada, isn't it? So we're going to see some legendary shots that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Welcome everybody in the chat. It's getting good. We're getting ready and underway. A long season. Was a 22-round season. We cut that back, of course, with some of the cancellations.
Actually, it was
due
23
to weather.
season.
20, yeah, sorry. There you go. So yeah,
It started with 23.
I was testing you, Grash.
We started with 23. We lost Canada, and then we lost Imola. So we're now only down to 21 races this season.
And China too, right? I think anyway. Yeah.
The weather this season, man.
In the chat, everybody out there, we're loving to see familiar faces out there. Once again, your support, just hit the like button. That's it. That's all we would like to ask from you, because of this fantastic team and these fantastic casters in here, as well as everybody here that love Formula One. Just every little nitty gritty detail that there is. Very, very cloudy, overcast conditions on this man-made island, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And again, shout out where you are in the world. We love to do that, don't we? Where you are in the world. Is it raining in your neck of the woods at the moment? Is it hot? Is it cold? Please give us, are you waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the race, as you would be in some certain parts of the world? Let us know.
So we've got people from England, Sri Lanka so far, Sweden, Canada. Someone says they're from Mars. I doubt that they've got good reception. We've got people from the United States, Poland, Japan, Toronto, Southern California, Belgium, Mauritius, India.
Mauritius. That's beautiful.
Yeah, actually,
Spain,
Mauritius.
Uganda,
One of my best friends is from Mauritius, and they cook some damn spicy and hot foods as well too.
Oh yeah, baby.
People from South Africa, Belgium,
big planet.
Maine.
So Ireland. All right, Kenya.
So we're definitely people from around the world and across the United States as well.
And guys, predictions in these conditions is wet weather. Do you think they're going to go straight out on inters or wets? I doubt anybody's going to gamble on those dry tires, or maybe.
I think they're going to hang out on inters. I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough rain, at least not yet, to qualify for the wets. But it very well might be, once this gets rolling, But I think the inters are the way to go.
I'm looking at a shot of Hamilton's car, and it looks like he's got hard tires on at the moment.
He does. And the whole crew is just sitting there waiting. He's got hard tires, but it's still in the garage,
It could very easily that this start of the session, no one goes out for 5-10 minutes.
Probably.
It's possible if it's wet enough that they won't go out. They'll wait.
Yeah, and that's a good question for everybody in the chat, as well as you. That once again, I call you the walking Wikipedia of information, Graz. I'm sorry if you agree or disagree with that one, but your knowledge is awesome. Is that because they're waiting essentially for some of the drivers to do some little outlaps to get that feedback before they send their driver out?
We're looking at one of the Aston Martins. They have wet. Basically, the track conditions, particularly if quali or the race is going to have different weather conditions than the current weather conditions. Like if it's raining now, but it's going to be dry quali, then it's kind of like a tactical scenario where they don't have. There's no reason to go out because the data they're going to get is not going to be representative to things that they need.
What I picture in my head right now too is when the penguins are sitting around the iceberg and the first one to go in is going to get eaten by the seal. Well, once the first one goes in, starts getting that data, then the rest of the drivers will start rolling out. So they're waiting for the first penguin to jump in.
So Esteban Ocon's car has wets on. So it's very interesting that what's interesting about these blue wets is that they're tireless. tires. They're not designed to have the heated tires on them. They're designed to be slap them on and go. They're more akin to all around, like for me in the United States, I wear all wear tires on my car, and so it's more slap them on go type scenario. So we do have 2 cars on track now.
You got to go out there and test the water, or basically spray some of that water with those tires that actually displays so much information. This is one for the chat. I love picking everybody's brain here. How much does a wet weather tire displace every second or so when they're on a wet track? Another question I actually wanted to throw out to everybody out there. Give us a rating from 1 to 10 on how much you love this track, like in your rating. Obviously, 10 being the best track you love, 1 being it's not so great. So please, just shout it out there in the chat. Your rating of Canada.
Well, I mean, I know my opinion would be that, Canada bodes very well for Red Bull. I think those cars are very fast on the straightaway. When here in Canada, you have that beautiful speed, lots of overtaking here, which is funny because at Spain, usually there's not as much overtaking, but they've modified the course a little bit. They took away one of the chicanes, and we saw a lot of overtaking. I thought it was a very exciting race last time. So it'd be interesting to see that speed, pulling into this one. And I think Red Bull's going to take it again, of course. But I think Mercedes is going to have a solid go.
Spoiler alert! Come on.
We have our first penguin. They are Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Sargent. So again, our first penguins are Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Sargent, and Alonso. Russell's on an outlap now.
Who gets eaten by it? Who gets eaten?
Remember, this is like to me. It reminds me a little bit of an Albert Park, right? High speed, walls take no prisoners. We all know about the world champions coming out of those final couple of corners. You get that old pole shaped, bang, you're in the fence. Well, you have to have a world championship title. You don't have to have a world championship title to actually be in that fence. But this is going to be very tricky for the drivers. Because the fact that they're coming out, they're tippy-toeing course, they're trying to get used to the condition, they're giving the feedback straight back to the teams. How's it feeling as a driver? If a driver pushes it too far, of course, and damages their car immediately right now in this free practice session, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the team to get that car fixed, to get out again for free practice 3 if you're lucky. And most of course, more importantly, is that you got your qualifying session coming up after that. So this is a very, very dangerous territory for drivers to push the limits. But hey, that's exactly what Formula One's about, isn't it? Pushing the limits.
So we've got some super chats to throw out right now. It's Paula with a "Let's Go Max" chant, and then we've got another one almost going is Max the Mac. Let's go race statistics. Let's hope for rain. It is raining right now, and they are on the wet tires.
Any feedback down there in the pit road there, Screwed, from some of the drivers that are coming back? And call you Screwed Ted Screwed, whatever, anything like that. You're totally
well, I'm just gonna say that about half of them wish that they brought a boat instead of a car. But a couple of penguins are still hanging out on the iceberg, so we got to wait and see until everybody else gets out of there.
Did everybody notice a couple of those beavers that were hunting around there when it was actually dry during the only little bit of the free practice session that we had?
Just need some moose up there, and it'll be more Canadian than you think.
The Groundhog Day, of course, is a little bit further south there, Mr. Phil. But anyway, it's just one of those legendary tracks. Legendary moments, of course, here in Canada. There's been lots of them. I love the track. I think a lot of people I didn't see a lot of people giving this track a lot of ratings. I saw a 6 or so in there, of course. But we have to shout out those fantastic support that we have from. Is it Paulo? I think it's always Paulo, isn't it? Paulo's always supporting it there. We have El Wax throwing $5 in there. Once again, your donations are very much loved and welcome. Not required, but very much loved and welcome. And everything you can do to support Racing Statistics makes it even more fun. You can watch all the great information that's up on the screen there. You can see the track map. You can see all the purple sectors that currently at the moment you have the likes of Alonso setting on these kind of very treacherous conditions. There's one I want to pick your brain on, Grash. You remember that they are looking at Formula One of putting like these wheel covers over the tires there to help minimize displacement for wet weather racing?
That was a proposal that went through the technical committee, and I have not heard anything out of that I haven't heard anything about that proposal since it was proposed about a few months ago. What we know, the next major committee is next month, and part of that why the committee is important is that that's the next time that they said that they were going to take up the issue of tire blankets. And right now, I don't know. The teams have been pushing back really hard on the removal of tire blankets. We've got the first, instance of the removal of the blankets. Again, mentioning the new wets, the blue wets. They're designed to not use the blankets, but it's going to be a hard push to get that down into the slicks. To be quite honest.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are. A big power slide from Russell coming out of the final corner. And mind you, just to let you know, obviously we can't bring you the live pictures. It'll be against the Formula One rules and regulations for their licensing. However, drivers are going nowhere near the Wall of Champions now. If you're a flat out full speed dry conditions, your tire's bumping up against that fence. That gives you an indication how quick you are. And these guys are about 1 or 2 feet away from those corners, which indicates how slow that they are in these trenches. And then I apologize. Drivers aren't slow; the conditions are slow. I'll get in trouble for Formula One drivers if I said that.
So
we have our first Red Bull out too,
and that's Verstappen on it's Perez on an outlap.
Yeah. Let's see what these cars can do they don't play as well, in the slower conditions, in the wet. It takes away that, it comes down to the driver's grit. It'll come down to who is the better driver. And I think, obviously Verstappen's going to play that well, but we're going to see a lot of better times out of a lot of, different teams that we normally haven't been seeing this. I don't know. I'm just tired of seeing Red Bull at the top. I love one.
But this is a good question, actually. There's one for the chat. Like, who would you think right now, even regardless of car, let's just take into consideration every driver in the car performance that they have. Who do you think is the best wet weather driver this season?
Oh, that is a good question.
That is good. That's hard.
I think it's whoever is fastest without crashing. You have to, push it as hard as you can, but the grip is so loose, it's going to be rough. I think it's a crapshoot. I think anybody in conditions like this, any single person on that track is good enough to be able to take out the win.
What I do, Alcon just went with P1 with a 131.428. Alonso just came to the pits for a new set of wet tires. Going back to your original question, I would put again our podium from Spain, Max, Hamilton, and Russell are all really good in the wet.
And we're racing statistics, right? So I want to see if anybody's actually calculated those numbers to show who actually has gained the most places during a wet weather conditions.
Sonoda just spins.
Oh, yep.
He just spun.
He saved it, though.
He saved it, too. He didn't hit the wall. I mean, those tires are toast, but he spun. It's a beautiful spin.
I know, right? It looks straight out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's worthy, of the film capital of Canada right there. Ooh.
But he did not hit the wall.
Imagine if you're sitting right now in the garage and we shoot to the camera and you're watching the team in the garage sitting in the chairs. They're going,
I need to correct something I said. So I need to correct something I said. Alonso's on intermediate tires, not on wets. Piastri just jumped to P3 and now Hamilton did just faster for P3. And there was a bit of Alonso was the fastest sector 1, but it is in the sector 2. He's been wobbly back and forth with those intermediates.
This is a massive gamble right now for Fernando Alonso doing this risk it for the biscuit.
He's pushing hard,
because if he gets it all pearl shaped, of course, that car's on the fence. But if he gets it all right, it indicates to the rest of the field, hey, it's into time. And he's quick. He's blisteringly quick. He just shaved 3/10 in a sector alone.
So what's interesting is that while we're talking with Alonso on intermediates, the Piastri's asked if we try intermediates, and his team is saying that basically it's too much rain for intermediates at the moment. So Tsunoda basically just jumped to P1.
I also think that the team are also playing it safe on this one. You got 40 something, you got 50 minutes or less for qualifying. I mean, sorry, my apologies, free practice. So I think the team sometimes are a little bit tedious as to, well, we don't want to risk it too much at the moment of, for a driver forcing an error, of course, repairing the car. Wait a little bit longer, see how it pans out. There's no rush. It's not like it's a motor race at the moment where you've got to get out there and save time and not get, overtakes done and stuff. You can afford to play it safe at this point right now, free practice.
That's really interesting that even with the spin out, Tsunoda grabbed number one. Alonso burning through this next one too.
We got following along Ocon and Sainz right now on track.
Alonso's looking hot this lap. He's saving time left and right. Oh.
And so Ocon's going to go P1 with 133.48. Sainz is going 135.41.
It's also very, very interesting about this track. As you get, they're still about at least a foot or two away from that fence. So give or take about 1.5 meters to just under 2 meters. Ocon goes to the top of the timesheets, but out of the wall of champions, Alonso's absolutely flying, guys.
He's blistering. Yeah, this is going to be an absolute monster.
He actually just jumped to a P1 with a 130.082. Perez has just jumped to. He was P2. He's now P3 with a 130. Max just jumped to a 129.190. So, again, remember,
on top of this,
these
remember,
times are
guys,
not.
there's no DRS, and Alonso makes a massive mistake going into the final couple of corners and abandons it. At that point, you've got to remember that's the pit lane entrance. So you either go left into the pit road or you just cut through there at the moment and abandon that lap. So Alonso's fastest lap that he definitely would have set by 2 or 3 tenths has been abandoned because he made a little snap of clever from the old wise Fernando Alonso, of course, making
That's
sure
what he gets for pushing
the fence.
Yeah, but I mean, he was pushing that lap hard. It's really unfortunate in that last sector for him.
Charles Leclerc is now to a P2, 129.330, 2 tenths slower than Verstappen.
Notice Jose's out there in the chat. Hello, Jose. Wow, we know you, Jose Martinez. A long-time supporter here at Racing Statistics, and we love you, my friend. Make sure that talk to the administration about giving you a Christmas card this year. Sort that one out. Hope everybody's having fun. Of course, give us a bit of a like out there. Yeah, too early, but it's conditions here in Canada. Lance Stroll, that's going to be a topic of debate. We're going to be talking about that one, the Ferraris, and lots of things to talk about. That's what I love about free practice sessions, isn't it, guys? We kind of talk about everything that's going on in Formula One without having to focus on the race action.
Speaking of which, what do you guys think is going to happen with Hamilton? How much money do you think he's going to get paid? Or is he going to resign? I guess that's the other question.
He's going to resign. Oh, no. The way that Hamilton is being coy right now about his contract, he is definitely resigning.
Let me call him. Find out. Wait, he's
ring.
Who knows? That's the thing. We're not even in the silly season. As I'm just watching, it's actually amazing. Sometimes you get to see that driver camera. Only certain drivers actually have that onboard camera that's located just inside the foam in the helmet.
Eric's saying that Hamilton's going to retire at the end of the season. Man, I don't. Nah. He's still too good. He's still racing with the best of them. Like, I know he's been around the block, but by God, he's not retiring this season. He's not done. He's not done.
If Hamilton was to do that, who's going to walk in with the best fashion statement in the paddock every race? Come on.
Oh, that's a good point. It'll be Latifi.
As on track F is gone, Bottas went P1 for a while with a 128.9, but Alonso has now gone to 127.5, and they are both on intermediate tires.
Are you saying it's into time, Grash? for sure, right?
Already is intertime. They're already on intermediate.
100%. Yeah.
So now the track looks like it's drying up a little bit. There's no rain. I believe there's no rain. Still a ton of spray on the track.
It's still drizzling. There's still it's still water in the air, but
Yuki Tsunoda having a little bit of
another spin from Yuki.
Yeah, Yuki. But this is a good question.
Drifting,
Anybody here
he's
from
drifting.
Canada? Please let us know if you're here from Canada and how close you are here to Montreal. And let us know. You can give us a little early indication, perhaps, if it's raining in your area here in Canada, and we can kind of maybe get an early forecast of is the conditions going to dry up or not. That's what I love about here in racing statistics. We get actual
we know that we've got predictions that it's going to be this on and off raining for the entire session.
But I don't believe those. That this is what the information gives you. But we got real people here right there. Like a kilometer down the road, they're like, "Yeah, I can wave it
but
from my house.
I can see the rain on Sainz's. But I can see the rain on Sainz's camera right now going across the camera.
I mean, a lot of that's going to be kick up from other cars too. The spray in the dirty air, you know. Science.
True. But
solid P1.
It gives us a little bit of a moment to actually talk about what's happening. So remember, everybody, if you've just tuned in, and thank you very much for tuning here at Racing Statistics. We're back in Formula One again after a little bit of a delayed free practice sessions and so forth. A little bit of rainy conditions. Everybody loves a bit of rain when it comes to motor racing.
So from chat, we Fernando Pradella is saying that he's in Montreal and it's light rain, showers on and off all day.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Anybody else also give us that bit of feedback? Tell us exactly what your position are. Tell us how many kilometers or miles you are away from the track. You don't have to give you a specific GPS location. Keep that private.
Yeah, don't talk to yourself.
Trust me, Graz, with his knowledge and technical information, he'll be able to zero in on that one. I'm only kidding. But however, it's good to have that information. And guys, yeah, exactly. So the cars are out on track. There's not a full representation of what the absolute best times are. Ferrari's looking solid just towards the end here at the moment. But once again, conditions are so dynamically changing, you can't really get a great picture on what's happening.
Leclerc grabs P1. Great lap by Leclerc. Sector 2 and 3 were solid. He's pushing it real hard.
And the Hulkster for the Haas is up there as well, P4. Kevin in P6 once again. We still got tricky conditions. But also we've seen that some of the teams that aren't necessarily fighting with the top dogs do well in these conditions. Does anybody expect, if this was to be, say for example, this was race conditions tomorrow, which team would you perhaps predict that could take massive advantage of these tricky conditions?
I don't know. I like Mercedes. I think Mercedes has been looking great after last week. I think they're going to do well this week as well. I don't have the faith in Ferrari anymore.
Yeah, definitely Mercedes. They were supposed to bring their upgrades in Imola, but ultimately brought them to Monaco because they had to. They were really put to use last week in last race in Spain. They're going to be. I think they'll do well here as well. I think the other team is Aston Martin is probably going to do well. Going to do well on this crazy conditions, but you just can't count out Red Bull. They're just in the zone right now, which is crazy.
I mean, what's the numbers there?
Real quick, Mr. Screwed there. There's a DM that's come through there on the radio there. So somebody's trying to make a phone call to you. If you would like to check that, please.
Hulkenberg's got 2 purple sectors. Sector 1, Sector 2 are purple right now, and he's coming to the line. He's going to be 0.3 faster going P1. So yeah, I think the Haas's are doing really well this weekend as well for some reason. I know yesterday they had an engine blow, but here's Hulkenberg on with a P1. So here we go.
Jose in the chat said something about Albon complaining about the Ferraris on track. Well, it is about the Ferraris going quicker at the moment, Leclerc and Sainz. It'll be one of them, I think, on the top of the timesheets anytime soon.
And Tsunoda's just jumped to a P2. So that's a huge boost for Tsunoda. So we've got Ferrari back on top 1-2 after Hulkenberg Tsunoda makes great laps.
All right, technical difficulties aside, I think I fixed it.
It's your batteries down there in the pit road, mate. It's happened to Ted before. Charles Leclerc looking damn quick. Carlos Sainz looking damn quick. So say what you say about Ferraris, but currently at the moment in the practice session, they're loving these wet conditions. Now imagine if the race was in these conditions. Do you think Ferrari have an opportunity there to take it to Red Bull and perhaps Mercedes?
They need to. They need to push hard. This has to be their week if they want to push into the rest of the season. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity for Ferrari to do really well. If this practice session is representative of what we'll see in quali or in the race, oh yeah, they have to take this opportunity to go for it. So right now, we've got 37 minutes left in the session. I'm going to take a moment to pull back, and so basically we are seeing a wet practice session here in Canada. Again, thank you everyone. There's over 3,700 of you watching right now. We've had over 380 likes. This is the Race Statistics YouTube channel, and this is our coverage of the Free Practice 3 for the Canadian Grand Prix. You are hearing three voices. This is Crash. You're also hearing Biggles and Screwed with me today. So it's a three-man team, a trio that is, if you're from wrestling, going at it on this free practice.
It's full of Jose out there in the chat. He counts as another one, doesn't he, Mr. Jose? Supported this
RKO from nowhere.
Yeah. And, if Ferrari can perform what they did in Le Mans, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Le Mans race, Ferrari looking pretty strong recently.
For those who don't know what Biggles talking about, Ferrari last weekend was the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is one of the three jewels of the crown, motorsports crown jewel. The other two being Monaco and the Indianapolis 500. What's impressive with Le Mans this year, it being the 100th anniversary of the race, but also the return of Ferrari to the race, and not only returning, but winning the race itself in the top category. That was with their number 51 car, which is one of the drivers is what we know is our beautiful Jesus, Antonio Giovinazzi.
Cut his hair, didn't he?
Our beautiful Jesus.
He had a haircut, didn't he? But yeah, everybody knows the Italiano Jesus, of course. But I believe he cut his Max Verstappen looking super quick. I believe he's about to destroy this hot lap and put the Max thing. Max does best. What was that? P1.
Max putting it to the max, man. It's
purple
so
across
good.
the board with a 124.997. So he's the first into the 124s, I believe. And it's actually he's 0.7 faster than Leclerc's lap, which is huge.
Unbelievable.
Perez basically had a moment where he lost some stability and he abandoned his lap.
So here's a question. I know it's still relatively early in Max's driving career. Do you think he will ever be able to overcome Hamilton? Obviously, Hamilton would have to retire at some point, and Max could overtake him then. But do you think? I don't know. Hamilton's been around for so long. I just feel like it's almost an unbeatable record for him.
As that is gone, we had an issue with one of the Red Bulls and I think one of the Williams traffic issue going around. The Williams abandoning ship to get around them, getting by. But it is we do have some traffic on track right now, and it's causing issues. So that's something going on. Now, back to the question about Verstappen versus Hamilton. It's going to matter how long Max races in F1. We're seeing the beginning of basically an incredible career. I mean, this is on par with Hamilton, but I would go back to on par with the beginnings of, is he the next Schumacher? The way that he's driving right now. Yeah, I mean, like it's early on. I mean, he's definitely like in terms of other drivers, he's on. I mean, he's on par with Fernando in terms of his career. He's on par. And he's on track to go after. I mean, he's already broken Vettel's race record with Red Bull as a team. But he's on track to be as good or better as Vettel right now. That's where he stands. Is he going to get to that next level of that much higher realm of Hamilton and Schumacher? It's too early to say, but he's got that beginnings of what could be, and that's what's that's for me as a relatively new F1 viewer. That's what's it's actually kind of incredible to watch. That I mean, he's literally in the zone right now. And it's
good car,
crazy
good
to watch
and everything. Remember, he earned that seat as well too by getting promoted.
That he did,
team.
yeah.
And we got to remember, there's one key factor everybody has to remember. Lewis Hamilton, even though he doesn't look it, he's 38 years of age.
I know, he looks like he's 12.
25. Okay, so if you want to add that 25 years to 38, and Max is still in his prime in Formula One. So if he wins like the next 5 years in a row consecutively of championship, he's going to be damn close, if not on par with Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, the only problem, of course, not from his skill, it's just his age. It's 38.
God.
So to a degree, there's a limit to
getting a replay right now of Ocon missing his.
He's taking the shortcut.
Taking a shortcut over the grass.
Shortcut. Yeah. I think Ocon and Tsunoda are trying out their new strategies coming into this.
If you played the recent Formula One game, that would be an off-track excursion, give you a penalty. But however, Grash, I know you once again walking Wikipedia information as well as everybody in the chat. What are the new upgrades that some of the teams have brought here to Canada?
The big one that F1 focused on was Aston Martin.
Martin, yeah.
Yeah, and they focused on they referred to it as a new engine cover, but there's a lot more going on than just it being an engine cover. There's part of it is a new aerodynamic look for the car, and it has the way that the F1 TV presented it is that it is inspired by what other teams are doing. No, don't get me wrong. It's not that they're stealing from other teams outright, but is that they're all going down similar aerodynamic paths. Like last year when they rolled out what we refer to as the Green Bull, that had already been in the works before. Oh, and we've got one of the I'm not sure which Ferrari car, but they are stopped. They're not on track, but they are stopped at the moment, and that is Carlos Sainz.
Oh no.
And his wing is
enjoying the
gone.
He's stopped because his front wing is gone.
That is shaved right off, and right, and we're now in a right flag scenario.
The first penguin is down. Down.
That's
what you call a close shave, isn't it?
Sorry, Sainz going, sorry guys, I crashed, and you did hit the wall.
No smooth operating from you there, Carlos. What's going on?
He's okay. He's he's fine. Responsive.
Yeah, it's absorbed the impact on the front, and once again, a big credit to the Formula One cars. Not a heavy impact, but he's perfect. But what corner was that he lost it in?
It looks like it's the hairpin.
The chat's going to know before we know.
Check out his back wing too. He hit front and back. That whole car is mangled.
Oh, that's going to be struggling now for Ferrari. You'd imagine, as I said, that pit lane crew are sitting there in their chairs going, all right, we got now at least a couple of hours of hard work to get that car repaired. And then we don't know if we have to take like a gearbox change or an engine change or anything that was damaged during it to get that car ready for qualifying. That's what we'll be focusing right now on his car for qualifying.
Yeah, you only have a couple hours to get that, ready to go. Coming back on the upgrades.
That's one for the poll. Will they get his car ready for qualifying? Go ahead, Screw.
So yeah, coming back on the upgrade. So my question for you guys then, when you have a car, sure you get your we're watching the crash there. Oh, he hit hard. Anyway, so coming back to the upgrades, you have this muscle memory for this car built how it has been, for the first half of the season. When you come in and make these minor, is there going to be some growing pains? You think that they're going to take, a couple of weeks to really get a feel for the new way that the car drives?
That's one for the chat, actually. Yeah. I'm not sure. And we have race statistics, of course. We're doing our absolute best at bringing you all the entertainment and the information. But yeah, my paddock pass was denied. Yours was there. I didn't update my visa in time. But yeah, it's the Ferrari fans are a little bit disappointed that happened. But I always say it's better to do that in a free practice session and not in a qualifying or a race. So the session has been red flagged because they have to remove that car. Dangerous situation. So another red flag situation in Canada this weekend.
Credit where credit is due. They can really clean off that the wreck and get everything situated really fast. So good on them.
It all comes back, of course, to those difficult situations where unfortunately lost a Formula One driver years ago in the incident when the tractor was retrieving a car and a driver.
It almost happened again last season too.
That's true. So I think in credit, it's not the best for entertainment aspects, but Formula One's now thinking completely of safety. They don't want chances of somebody binning it or risking the life of the stewards and the drivers and
as they should.
So it's more important, I think, at this point to just red flag a session, make sure it's all safe, and get everybody back out there. Even if anything, at this point, it might actually delay some of this rain that doesn't look like it's coming down as much. And we'll hope on the chat there if we can get the local Canadians that are near the track there to give us information about that. That you might see, perhaps when the session resumes, somebody gambling on dry tires.
That would be a gamble.
So any questions you guys want to ask about this Formula One season whilst we were in a red flag? Like, any major questions about teams? Who do you think has been the best performing driver this season? Obviously, don't just suggest Max because Max is winning the championship because, he's doing the right thing in the right car. What about the other drivers that don't have the best tools at their disposal?
Well, yeah, that's a really good one.
Like that.
Because obviously Verstappen and Red Bull as a constructor, there's nobody that's going to touch them. But second, third, fourth, those are what everybody's fighting for the rest of the season. So yeah, it's a really good question. Who do you guys like out there?
Mark Webber. Sorry, Mark, tired, my friend. You might catch Mark commentating on one of the local networks for this one, but at the moment, that man's not driving. Just a couple of replays of that little spinneroo there from Carlos's crash. Now, he did hit the front and the rear of the car. Some people in the chat are talking about gearbox damage. That is a possibility, of course. We don't know chassis damage. Also, remember there's other energy recovery units there tucked up right around where that gearbox is as well. So you never know. They've got to get that car back into pit road, which means it's going to kill even more time for the team. Got about 24 or so minutes left of this free practice session. So team are obviously begging to get the car as quickly as they can back in the garage. They'll close the door of the garage and they'll work on that car tooth and nail to get it ready for the qualifying session. And
we're going to see signs come out in a Ford Pinto for qualies.
It come out in that safety car. It's red, but it's not a Ferrari. But yeah, it's also difficult, isn't it, too? Because when they do fix the car, it's just generally a lot of the times that the car, even though they'll set it up to the same balance that they had before, of the setup, like your braking balance, your steering alignments, and all that sort of jazz that they set up, all the technical information. but sometimes just that car doesn't feel the exact same as what it did previously. That's just the information I've heard before in the past. Hopefully we'll have Grez back in the bed. And Grez, you are back, so I want to pick your brain about that too, mate. Red flag.
I mean, I think we're back to green. Yeah, it's still red flag scenario. Yeah, no, I mean, the question now becomes, how many reds are we going to get during quali? It's really what it comes down. We've had a red
Good
flag in every
question.
single. Yeah, I mean, we've had a basically the session will resume in about 1 minute, coming from race control. But yeah, no, I mean, we've had a red flag in every single session. It's raining. We expect to have more rain during quali. How many red flags are we going to get during quali? Because they're pushing for it at that point. So yeah, no, I mean, this is one
that's
of those
a really good
crazy
point.
scenarios.
Yeah, with so many red flags, so many crashes. I mean, Canada takes no prisoners. You know, and it's gonna be a crapshoot. I mean, we know who's going to do well, but they got to stay on track. They can't crash it out. And
As I
we've seen
mentioned,
so many good.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, there is underground tunnels here. It's a man-made island, right? And of course, as you're well aware, Canada snows during a certain amount of a part of the year. I wonder, you never see the drivers go underneath the tunnels to go back into there. I'm not sure if it actually does appear around pit road. That's something that really let me know if that it does actually occur. Kind of like Disney World, there's tunnels underneath there.
Speaking of, they have like an Epcot sphere up there too.
Yeah.
I got the orb.
I believe that we are green again.
Yeah, we are
so
green,
that was a very quick,
back on track action already. Yeah, no, that sphere that you see is from one of the World's Fair. So the island. So we're on the island of Notre Dame, and this is a man-made island that was created for one of the World's Fairs, so for the Montreal World Fair. And the biodome that you see, that's what it's called. That sphere was created for the World's Fair. There's not much left of. That's one of the only few things that is left from that World's Fair. But it's interesting that this is a man-made island and it's created for a world event.
The World Expo affairs, that used to be massive back then, not so much massive these days, but exactly. Same thing occurred in Australia as well too. In Brisbane, they created a whole banking area for a World Expo, so they've done the same thing here in Canada.
Used to be up there with, like, you know, the Olympics, when it comes to like how you know, provenance it is and how important it is. And it's definitely, you know, back down significantly, but the World's Fair used to be huge.
The Orb on the Island Expo 67. See, I tell you, mate, if you don't know anything, just rely on the racing statistics chat. They know. I don't know. Grash knows. Grash is already testing them.
So
actually,
right now
Inter tires for everybody currently in the moment. They've just tuned in. Welcome along. Grash, you want to give us a little bit of a recap of what's happened so far during about half of this free practice session?
Yeah, so pretty much this session started wet. They started on wet tires and then moved to intermediates as conditions improved. Who is crossing the grass there? And that it looks like it's Lewis Hamilton crossing. Yeah, taking a shortcut to get back to the pits, it looks like.
Same corner that Sainz crashed at too.
So yeah, no, this is what we're looking at right now is a track that it's wet. They're driving on inners, and it's somewhat drying, but it's still perilous in terms of what's going on. We've had one red flag, and that was Sainz going into the wall, losing his wing, almost losing his back wing. He is okay, but it's going to be interesting for those mechanics who now have to fix that car for qualification.
Yeah, just looking at replay, of course, it's turn 1, turn 2, as Lewis decides not to put it into the fence and just backs off and avoids that taking the corner the correct way on the track. We'll get a poll very soon, actually, for everybody out there. Will the qualifying session that'll be upcoming after this free practice session be under dry or wet conditions? So see how your predictions of the weather gods are going to pan out on that one.
So here's another question for you. Let's say that, you know, they plan on it being a little drier for qualies. Do they, I don't know if they do or not, but I have seen that, you know, in NASCAR, they'll bring out these jet engines to dry the track as best they can. Will they do that in between the time of FP3 and qualies?
I don't think they have that equipment here, to be quite honest. That's something that is mostly dedicated. So in NASCAR, the tracks that you're talking about are the super speedways, essentially the oval circuits, and that's one of the places where you see that equipment come up. So Indianapolis, Daytona, Atlanta all have that particular equipment to get out and help dry the track with that type of equipment. It's not something you see at street courses or these or road courses like you see here in Montreal or Monza or Monaco, for example.
Well, the luxury we have at the moment, even without the teams do have people that actually sit all around parts of the track there and measure the weather and stuff. They even have people, I believe, like up the road. But we have here in Racing Statistics, of course, is people that live nearby the track. They can give us information before that teams may even have it. So that'll be another question. And the poll's up, of course, if you feel that the qualifying session will be under wet conditions, dry conditions, or perhaps a little bit of a mixture of both. Looking at a replay of Alexander Albon going into turn one, being tricky at the moment. Turn one, we saw Lewis Hamilton before, a little bit of a lockup, keeps it out of the fence. But turn one, well, that's going to be an indication.
Taken, yeah. It's taken no prisoners.
We will probably see if turn one is giving them problems right now. If it's wet, we're probably going to see some crazy stuff on that turn one and beginning of the race. It could very easily have a yellow or red flag in that first lap of the race if this is how things are going right now.
Probably, yeah, absolutely.
So as it stands right now, give a recap of where we are. We've got Verstappen in P1 with a 1:30.912. Sainz, while he has crashed, he is now in P2 currently with a 285. Leclerc right now is in P3 on an outlap. And then we've got Perez, second half slower. Tsunoda, second and 7/10 slower. Norris, 1.9 slower. Hulkenberg, another 1.95. And Russell, almost 2 seconds. Albon just jumped up to P7. He's a 1.5 second behind. Russell, P4, just a second behind Verstappen.
We got some information that the rain's going to be heavier, so perhaps those times could be the quickest times that are set. And even though, of course, with Carlos, that looks pretty damn good in P2, unfortunately, he can't improve on that. He's more focused on getting that car ready for qualifying. But it's still got to look pretty good if nobody can improve and also give an indication that teams, they can't tweak the car anymore, can they?
Verstappen just improved again. He's just a monster out here today, even in these conditions. It's beautiful. I'm tired of saying his name, but geez, man, he's so good.
And he's found another quarter second on track and he's on intermediate tires for those who are asking. So Sainz, who was a quarter second, is now a full half second back behind him now.
Guys, aside from the usual suspects at the top of the timesheets, any other surprises that you are thinking that these drivers are doing quite well? Let's have a look.
I think Alonso just grabbed P4, and I think he's starting to get used to the tweaks that Aston Martin has given him. I think he's going to do absolutely fantastic this week.
The three that I'm surprised at what I'm seeing right now. Actually, I'm going to put 4 in that category. Albon, Tsunoda, Magnussen, and Hulkenberg are all in the top 10 right now. They I know that Haas had issues yesterday, but they look like you typically when you have an issue like that, you jump back pretty. You can jump back pretty good, and they definitely with Hulkenberg, he's in the top 10. Verstappen now, oh my God, he just put another half second. He's in the 1:23.779. So now Sainz, who was a quarter of a second behind, is now almost a whole second behind. Leclerc he's just, again, when we talk about Max being in the zone, this is why he's in the zone.
Do you think that Charles let let last season get to him. I think, fighting with Verstappen and the two of them going 1 and 2 more times than we can count. Do you think that he let it get to him, and that's why this season he's not racing as well as last season?
Maybe. I just don't think the Ferrari car has been as good as it was last season. Again, one of the issues that I think
Verstappen just dropped another third of a second.
Oh my God.
Where does he find this time?
Look at it.
I mean, we know he has a fantastic private jet, and we know he's a quick driver. Has he got a private boat happening here at the moment here in Canada? I don't understand where he's getting this pace from. He's going to annihilate everybody, probably by half a second at least. He's going to around the final corner at the moment. Keeps it closer to the world champions, not as close in the dry conditions, and Max is going maxi things. Fastest lap, a 1:23.1. Annihilated 1.6 seconds. Quicker than the rest of the
Pushing
field.
122 now. My God.
So we had
results real quick in there from the poll. Sorry to cut you off on that one. Dry 42. This is the poll. Sorry, the qualifying predictions for the weather that some people had voted. 42% dry, 31% wet, and rain coming and going 25%. Looking at a replay of an Alfa Romeo running off the track a little bit, keeps it out of the fence. But thank you very much for voting. And if you did love the Racing Statistics channel that bring you all the fantastic best watch-along entertainment on the planet Earth, not Mars, where we had somebody from Mars before chatting, hit the like and subscribe button and show us some love.
Max is taking it a little easier this lap. George Russell just almost lost it there too.
So one of the surprises right now is we have Tsunoda in P4 with a 125.1, and then Hulkenberg with a P5 with a 125.1, and then Norris P6 125.5. So we are seeing some of the backmarker teams performing really well. Alonso was in a P7. Actually, just jumped to P3 with a 124.8. But still, I mean, massive lap from Max, who's in the low 123.
Yeah, you got a Formula One license, right? They're gonna have to call it a Super Formula One license the way Max continues in the future. We have about 11 or so minutes and change left the qualifying session. We do know that Jose and a bunch of other fantastic people in the chat have reported that the rain's going to get heavier. Now, is this the point that you start pushing it? The track seems to be Leclerc's going quicker. Max is going quicker. I don't see many other drivers going super quick, but we'll see how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, most of the cars are out on track right now. The only ones, again, besides Sainz who's crashed, we have Hulkenberg, Albon, Ocon, and Sargent are the only ones who are in the pits who could be out on track. Everyone else are on track on intermediates. So they're trying to get that push in now to get what data they need before the rain comes in and shakes everything up again.
Max booking it in sector 2.
Leclerc goes P2, but Max is going to annihilate this. He has a 2/10. Leclerc got it down to 2/10, but I guarantee you Max is not happy with that. He wants a 1 second gap at least in this time, and I would not be surprised if the Super Max does it. Leclerc's going a little bit quicker as he starts another lap. Max is going really throwing this car around at the moment. We have team radio from Hamilton. Let's see if Max can top this time. He certainly will. But
can he grab the? He wants that 122. He wants that 122. Will he get it?
Gracia, I think he crossed the line, mate. Did he get it? He improved, right? The rain's coming down hard now.
Yeah, he did improve by a little bit. He did a 123.1.
Oh.
A replay in slow motion. He threw it through the wall of champions. That is a tricky corner, of course. Looking at the final 2 corners, and that car was lifted up in the air. Doesn't really matter
that rain's
too much,
getting heavy. Yeah,
it's so wet on the track anyway. It's probably better to have your car in the air.
And now the rain is coming down hard. We've got 10 minutes to go in this session, and rain is hit on parts of the track, but not all of the track at the moment. But it's gonna come down again hard across the track.
It's like a spa situation, isn't it? Raining on one side of the track and on the other. But it's not 7 kilometers this track.
Victoria says that Max only improved by 0.05, but it is an improvement nonetheless. That's true. He had a fastest sector 2, had some subsectors. He did not improve in sector 1 or sector 3 as a whole, but he did have subsectors where he had improved. So,
oh, Johnny, that is the best line I've ever heard in my commentating career. Go, Maxi Quackerplane. Is it Maxi Quackerplane? That's brilliant. You need to coin that one. I've never heard that before in my life, mate. That is absolutely amazing. I love that out there. Max Acuplane and Max together. I don't know if you guys can pronounce that better for me, but that's brilliant. Good on you. Appreciate that.
And Sainz still holding P5 even with his crashed lap.
So he was P2 when he crashed. Leclerc has moved ahead of him. Alonso's moved ahead of him. Max has moved ahead of him. Behind him right now is Gasly, Stroll, Tsunoda, Bottas, and Hamilton in P10. Russell's down in P15, which is very odd. I usually think Russell is better in the rain than he's performing right now. He has performed better in the rain in the past. He's not now, which is very odd.
And this gets a difficult situation for a team when the conditions are getting worse. Do you want to risk it so late in this free practice session, knowing that qualifying is coming up soon? If a driver makes a mistake, that may very well end their chances of qualifying.
Yeah, you really don't want to do it.
I don't know if it's worth it, is it?
Well, the answer is if we could look like who's coming in, basically getting a replay of Valtteri Bottas driving through heavy fog and rain. Most of the cars are coming into the pits at this point. For those there's only a few who are left on a track right now.
It's a question for you guys out there in the chat. If you were a team boss, let's say you're the F1 manager game or something like that, right? And you had elected to choose to send your cars out, would you do it? Would you send your cars out right now? And what are you going to achieve from it? The only thing I would imagine would be testing for a perhaps wet weather race or wet weather qualifying for laps. But aside from that, it's maximum risk, maximum reward, because if your driver goes out and gets it wrong, as we saw with Carlos Sainz, that's it. You may not get the car in qualifying. So what would you do?
Yeah. I mean, as it is right now, the cars are coming into the pits. So the last Alfa Romeo, which is coming to the pits, I believe that is Bottas. It's coming in.
Yeah.
And I think Leclerc and Piastri and Zhou, I think, are the only ones who are left on track right now.
Herbert, the broadcast is not over, because what we're going to do right now is that we're going to have a little telephone. We're going to bring out the F2 cars and let them handle the next 6 minutes of this free practice session for a bit of kicks out there. Yeah, I think you might be very much right. I doubt anybody's going to send any cars out there at this point. It's too much to risk. Remember, it's a very expensive sport.
Leclerc's on an outlap. There's something going on. So Ferrari is looking for something. I don't know.
Interesting.
So they're showing
stopped on track. He may have stopped on track.
What was that?
Has he stopped on track?
Oh, no, he's on an outlap.
Yeah. Wow, that is
risking for the biscuit.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be very careful, considering they got one car that might not make it into qualifying, and now having the only other sole Ferrari out on track in these conditions.
But even then though, sure, it's risky, but you do get an opportunity to see it without any traffic whatsoever. So you just you, the car, and the racetrack.
Yeah, spotlight on the Ferrari. Good for advertising out there. Absolutely.
That's probably what it is. I think it was Ferrari saying, "Hey, you know what? We need more time on screen."
Had 24 hours in Le Mans, mate. They won it. So how much more time do they want? Yeah, I'm just missing. Comes down around the hairpin, and then that's when you get the absolute throttle. It's called the Casino Straight because I'm not quite sure if this is actually correct, but I'm just making this up. It's a Casino Straight because when you get your braking points gambled right into the World of Champions corners, well, it'll pay out big. Get it all wrong, You're going home bankrupt. He goes into the pit road. It's too wet.
So our last car has come onto. So it may have been a reconnaissance lap.
Tire or fuel or something. That's actually interesting, isn't it? That's something I would like to pick your brains with. Like why they do that sometimes. It was a very, very slow lap. It didn't push anything at all. But is it testing something else perhaps, or setting the car up on certain things?
What's reconnaissance?
Okay, what does that mean? Can you explain that to perhaps new people who have just tuned in to
so
racing statistics?
when we go by a reconnaissance lap, is basically we're putting a car out on lap just to see what the track conditions are at that time.
Look at that rain.
And it's coming down hard. And he's not going back out. They just put mediums onto his car. So that is the last car that was on track.
No. I want to see him go out on those mediums.
What sort of information are they going to get from this reconnaissance lap?
Mostly track conditions, basically how wet it is. I think
you gamble, a Ferrari. I was going to say a potential championship winning team, but at this point in the championship, that's far stretched. But either way, he's willing to gamble going out in tricky conditions. What if you're aquaplaning and you're in the fence?
That's part of the reconnaissance.
Now we know it's not. I would send a reserve driver out there to do it. Of course, you can't. But that seems. No, I'd send an Alfa Romeo out there to do it rather.
I believe
Junior Ferrari.
No, I mean, I think it was in Monaco. I think we saw there was a moment where there was a lot of rain on track, and Lando went out and did a reconnaissance lap. Went out, came back in.
We have the top points at the moment here in the racing statistics. Polo and 999 there at the moment is leading this from King Cho, who's in P2, and Jose Martinez is in P3. So keep up the good work on that one. We have multiple championships going on, not just on the Formula One, but here in the racing statistics. How can they increase their points, by the way? Just let everybody know.
So you can increase your points by chatting, being here and chatting in chat. You can also increase your points by using the super chat. There's another way you donate to that is another way that is counted towards your points. And the rain is coming down really hard at this point.
It's heavy. And we also have a Discord too, right? So if you want to pick your brain, right, Crash? More?
Yeah, Discord doesn't account towards it the channel points and what we're talking about here.
Yeah, but I mean, to come and pick your brain and have a chat to you.
Oh, definitely. Discord. If you guys want to continue talking after between sessions, come join our Discord channel. One other thing, again, in race systems, sorry, just use the Discord command to. But at this
race
point,
statistics, of course, is our fantastic producer. Go ahead.
Just trying to think at the moment. Again, everyone's out of their car at this point, and so we're about a minute left in the session. We're not going to see anyone else go out. So this is what we're seeing right now for Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, P1, P2, P3. That is going to be the board. Magnussen, P4, Sainz, P5, though he has crashed. Gasly is P6, Stroll is P7, and Tsunoda is P8. So we've got a mix of not the regulars. Those below, again, we've got Russell is down below, Perez is down below. So we've got a mix up in the top 10 that we usually don't see, which is interesting.
And Oscar's just ahead of Norris, so that's also an interesting battle. We can't really say how close that is.
That's becoming more of a trend. That the fact that Oscar is performing better than Lando is starting to become a trend. And that's something that to keep an eye on as things go on.
That's a great poll we can probably throw up. Do you guys would believe when we're getting close to midway through the season that Oscar can outperform Lando in points at the end of the season? Yes or no? That was a simple question. Can Oscar outperform Lando, or will Lando outperform Oscar? There you go. We don't have a lot to talk about because it's pouring rain. It's not red flag, but nobody's going out.
Well, question from chat is: would their grandstands would be full in rain for practice? Yeah, those grandstands look pretty full.
These are Canadians, mate. They'll sit in snow to watch a hockey match. That's
yeah. These guys, have, minus 20, minus 30-degree weather in the wintertime. This rain is nothing. It's probably a holiday for them.
It's a summer. Exactly.
Yeah, this is nothing. This is beautiful weather.
And
look
the
at how
amount of money
happy
it
they
costs you
look.
for a ticket in Formula One these days, you're definitely going. Are you guys, everybody looking forward to
Man, they're going to have to bring out their boats for qualies. I'm looking forward to Vegas. I think so. Like, I know that the tracks is gonna be somewhat similar to Monaco when it comes to like overtakes and stuff, just how it's designed. But that being said, a nighttime race on the strip is gonna be absolutely stunning.
That's true, Gresh. What do you think about that?
I
I'm just looking at
disagree.
pictures at the moment. They still have not returned that Ferrari to pit road yet, and they can't do it until the session's over. But Gresh,
session has just ended. So like right now, the crane is now going to the car to get it onto the flatbread. So they're just starting to get it on in the process to get the car back. I kind of disagree on that Vegas is not going to be an overtake opportunity like Monaco. The way that it's set up, it feels much wider. And much more expansive. Again, American roads are like they're going down the straight. That is a multi-lane road that they're going down.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not talking about the European streets where it's luckily if you can get one car through. So
and it's flat, of course, in Las Vegas. The official results around the session has ended, but Max Verstappen takes the top of the timesheets at the moment, 123.1, and then followed up by Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Kevin, and Carlos Sainz. So we'll wrap out your top five. Guys, obviously we have much more here at Racing Statistics, and which will be the qualifying session coming up. Looking forward to it. How far away will that qualifying session be, and do you think that they can get Carlos's Ferrari fixed in time?
So quality is in about 2.5 hours from now. We'll probably be live in about 90 or so minutes for that on the next. So we're going to go to another stream for quality. That stream will probably go live. The way things are going, we've been going live about an hour before sessions with music, and then 15 minutes before the session, commentary coming on. So 90 minutes from now, that next stream will start with music. We'll be back. What was that?
Yeah. How can they find that stream? Real quick, there, you just said.
Oh, if they're right here right now, don't go anywhere. If you are on this stream right now, when this stream ends, you will be brought to the next stream. That's one of the feature of YouTube. So just don't go anywhere. Enjoy the music after we get off, and then you'll be brought to the next. Again, if you want to do more chatting between sessions, again, the Discord is up and open 24/7. So, like for example, one of the things. Before this session, I dropped a link to where I'm getting my data for the weather reports.
Excellent. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. I appreciate every single person that's been here and supporting the fantastic Racing Statistics. It's been interesting. It's been fun. There's lots of tricky conditions, and I guarantee there'll be more tricky conditions up, and you're going to have more fantastic commentating crew bringing you the qualifying coming up as well. It's been a pleasure sharing the booth with you, Grash, and I am screwed. Any final words?
No, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting with the weather.
Yeah, same here. I want to thank everyone as well, and we'll see you guys in about 2.5 hours.